Yeah, I'm the one. I'm the one who met who you would call Santa Claus, but it wasn't on purpose. It was the stars I was after. I was an astronomer, amateur. But these days, the amateurs discover as many stars as the pros, and I just lost my job. Happy holidays. So when I read the article, I knew I had to go. It was about the Canadian Arctic, how stars there were 25% brighter than anywhere on Earth, which means you can see 25% farther, which means you're 25% closer to seeing the oldest stars, the ones that started when the universe began, some 13.5 billion years ago. When I used to think about that number, I'd get dizzy, like literally. I think how old I am and how much has happened to me, which, yeah, I guess objectively isn't much, but to me is all the world. And then I think about how many times my all the world fits into 13.5 billion years, and my legs, Jello. Like for real, sometimes I fall down. Or puke. It's weird. I'm weird. You probably figured that out by now. And anyway, this isn't about me. This is about that thing you call Santa. The Claus. I mean, it is weird, right? It's unsettling that his last name is a homophone for sharp things that come out of paws. Like, that's the name you'd give to some movie killer. Santa Claus 4, The Rivening. Anyway, I'd lost my job, and I'm not someone who loses jobs. I'm someone who holds jobs in her hands so tightly they have trouble breathing. I'm someone who still believes in trapper keepers, you know? But things, I guess, are different now. It doesn't matter if you get A's in all your subjects. What matters is whether or not your subject can be outsourced or done online. Or, I mean, the only good thing about that, right, is that one day journalists will knock on our doors and go, "What was it like to live in the Great Recession?" And we'll throw our cats at them. So I lost my job, but I had savings and severance, so I said, "Keely," which is my name. I guess I should have told you guys that from the beginning, right? Hi, I'm Keely. Happy holidays. And so yeah, I said, "Keely, what do you want most in the world?" And I answered to have Andy back, but I can't have him back. So I said, "Keely, pick something else." And this time I answered, "I want to find a star that no one else has seen before. I want to discover something that fits only a few times into 13.5 billion years. Wow, dizzy. Thunder, thunder, thundercats, ho! Sorry, I say that to steady myself sometimes. If you're not into cartoons from the 80s, it's just like I'm using a magic sword to send out a distress signal to all my friends. So yeah, it's comforting, like good kid things are. Like Santa Claus should be. As long as you don't know the truth. Maybe you don't want to know the truth. Maybe you want to go on thinking that Santa is a fairy tale or real, but like addicted to cookies and super nice. If you want to keep thinking that, you can go. I won't be hurt. I'll just say my Thundercat thing under my breath. Okay, I'll keep going. So I went to the Arctic, because this article said you can see the stars better there than anyone else on Earth, except the South Pole. But that's like really crazy cold, whereas the North Pole is just kind of freezing. And so I went on this safari, I guess you would call it. And like, we saw polar bears, which are super cute until you watch them maul a seal. And then like, yeah, maybe they should be endangered, you know? Because that wasn't cool. But I was really going on the safari because there's an option to go to this observatory, like one of those big telescopes. And I was going to sneak away from my group the night we were there and unleash my own smaller, but still mighty telescope upon the sky. And I knew, like I really did know, that something major was going to happen. Because I'm like that, like spider sense. Or like suddenly I stopped being such a weirdo and move through the air like the air was made for me to move through. And I say things that people laugh at and listen to. And I know exactly what I'm doing. Like, this is the part of my life I rehearsed in that before you're born place. So I set up my telescope, but there was just a little ambient light from the observatory, and ambient light is like the psycho killer of stargazing, which is why living in the city is so stupid, but I seem to keep doing it. I moved away from the observatory, just a little, because even though I'm bundled to the max, it's really freaking cold. And I had to read that book in like middle school where the dude freezes to death, and they're like, "What are the themes of this book?" And you're like, "Why did you make me read that depressing book?" Like Old Yeller. They made my whole elementary school watch Old Yeller, but I guess that's smart, because get used to it, kids, right? Then I saw this thing. It looked kind of like another observatory, and I thought, oh cool, this is probably their secret telescope. No tourists allowed. But then I heard the sounds. Have you ever watched kids on a city playground above one of those places where you can hear the subway? Like really feel it beneath you? And the sounds the kids are making somehow get mixed up with those machine sounds. So all the thumping and screeching below is like this factory churning out the laughter above? Well, of course not, you're not weirdos. Well, it sounded like that. Only the first thing you need to know is they're not short. It's just that you can't touch them. The elves. You want to. They're beautiful. But if you reach towards them, it's like the world bends away from you, and no matter how far you stretch, you can't reach them. So they look small, but they're not. And those machine sounds, they're making them, but you can't see the machines. Or you can, like when you look through heat and things bend, you can see something silver, some great intricate machine humming, and human sounds, like kid sounds. You know how you can't always tell if they're laughing or screaming? What are they making? Presents, says the voice behind me. Presents for all the good boys and girls, and the other ones besides. Okay, now I was raised Jewish, so I didn't have any of the nostalgia or wonder seeing him. But even if I had, I'm not sure it would have felt any different. Because he wasn't like merry. I mean, bowl full of jelly was not an accurate metaphor, unless you were talking about my legs, which in that moment, thunder, 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 cats ho. Have you been a good girl, Keely? He asked like he knew the answer. I said, you're not real. And he laughed. And you know when you grow up in a city and you're used to city sounds and then go camping for the first time and you're like, what the hell is that noise? Because I know that's not a frog, so stop lying to me. And there are a million things humming, and so how are you ever going to sleep? He laughed, and a million things hummed, and I was awake. Follow me. Okay. Through the workshop, we keep going down, every level, these beautiful elves working. And I asked, don't they ever get a break? And he stopped. His eyes did not have a twinkle. If you tried to put a twinkle in them, it would be like dropping a lit match in the ocean. You have seen something you should not have seen. But now that you have seen it, you must see everything so you know what it means. He did have a pipe in the stump of his teeth. That part is true. But I wouldn't call the smoke that surrounds him wreath-like. We went further down, and as we did, the sounds grew louder. Or rather, my ability to remember what other things sound like faded. There was only the sound of the machine. I tried to sing something to block it out. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. But then that melody somehow became the melody of the machine. Even the lyrics went away. Then I couldn't remember what the lyrics meant. And then I was watching myself think from the outside, like watching a foreign language TV show without subtitles. I could see my mind going on, but I didn't know the words. We kept going down, and as we did, I felt myself changing. I felt my eyes grow deep. They could drink in 1,000 years like a glass of milk. I felt my mouth grow wide. I could devour 1,000 miles like a plate of cookies. And then I remembered the name Andy. And it was like I was drowning in the deep end, and that name was pulling me back up when we're here. And there it was, his sleigh. I won't tell you about the reindeer. I won't do that to your sleep. Get in. I sat behind him, and all at once I felt the floors above us give like a trapdoor, and every single unseen thing the elves had made poured into the sleigh. But my eyes were deep, and my mouth was wide, and my heart was 13.5 billion years old. I remembered something about that number. I remembered there was something that made me afraid, something I used to say to make myself feel better. But then, now, then he said the real names of the reindeer, which I will not tell you. We were flying. Only it wasn't flying. It was more like the world was offering places to us, and we were still. We went from house to house, and if there wasn't a chimney, we came through the window, and if there wasn't a window, then up through the drain. We stood next to sleeping children, and I watched that thing you call Santa give them presents. He would lay his lamb chop hand on their little faces, and the sound of the machine would rush into the room. He wasn't giving them toy soldiers. He wasn't giving them China dolls. I can't tell you exactly what he was giving them, except that if I listened to that rush very closely, I could see things happening to them. I saw a little girl playing the piano. I saw a little boy hit by a car. I saw another boy watching a girl jump rope. I saw the jump rope girl sick in a bed. I saw another boy dancing. I saw a girl drinking wine. I saw another girl push her son in a swing. I saw a boy in a plume of smoke. I saw another boy become a girl. I saw a girl kill a boy. I saw another girl on stage saying something that made everyone breathe together. And I asked him, "What are you giving them?" "If you don't know, I can't tell you." Okay, and that pissed me off, because I don't celebrate your holiday, okay? So the next time the machine began to rush, I caught it. I kept it from reaching the child. I don't know how I did it, but Santa turned to me, and I knew he was going to hurt me. "Let go." "No." "Let go." "I won't." "Let go! Tell me what it means." And then we were in the sleigh again, rising past the skyscrapers, past the clouds, past the stratosphere, past warmth, past breathing, rising past the earth. And I tried to scream, but there was no air to breathe, and we just kept going. Past the moon, past Mars, past the angry watercolor of Jupiter, past all the planets, until they looked like a game of abandoned croquet, until the stars of our zodiac were just paintings on a cave wall, the Milky Way just the ring I threw into the East River, the quasars looking like old men burning at a bar, until we were past anything mapped, rising to the edge of everything, stopping at the start of nothing. And he turned to look at me again, and I understood. He was giving them eternity. No. He was giving them the way they would feel eternity. And I thought, my way is the stars. But when I turned to thank him, we were falling so fast there was no time for words, and it was cold. I was shivering. Outside the workshop, the sun coming up, and the real observatory not too far in the distance. And when I took a breath in, the air was so sweet I nearly hyperventilated trying to drink it all in. He was watching me, even worse in the daylight. The sun hid behind some clouds. The clouds changed into something nondescript to avoid his attention. "Thank you," I said. "Thank you for the stars." "That is not your present." Then I heard the machine again and felt him press eternity against my cheek. And it wasn't the stars I saw. It was him. Andy. I said, "No, that isn't fair. He's gone. He can't be the way I feel it. Make it the stars." But the clause was gone. And now, when I think of 13.5 billion years, I don't get dizzy. That only happens when I think of him. It only happens when I think of you. And that makes me like getting dizzy, Andy. Because that's what you being gone should feel like. You being gone should feel like 13.5 billion years falling. And feeling that dizziness of you gone is how I still love you. Feeling that is how you're still here. So that's the story of how I met the thing you call Santa Claus. So be good, for goodness sake.